This is Standing Watch. And now, Evangelist Norbert Link.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to our Standing Watch program. What is going on in Europe? What is going on in Germany? What about this war propaganda? Do we understand how dangerous all of that is becoming? Uncut News wrote on June 23. Ukraine is making it clear that it aims to take the war to Russia. The fact that NATO supports such actions against a nuclear-armed superpower is madness. The United Kingdom has reportedly just tested missiles with a range of 300 miles that are slated for delivery to the Ukrainian military. The British missile platform has the capability to deliver a 500-pound warhead all the way to Moscow. The Ministry of Defense called on companies to develop long-range weapons capable of flying at speeds exceeding 370 miles per hour, costing around 400,000 pounds apiece, and capable of being produced at a rate of 20 units per month. The open and blunt admission that these future systems could soon be deployed to directly attack the Russian capital would represent an insane escalation by NATO. Once NATO and Western systems begin destroying buildings in Moscow, direct military retaliation by Russia against Europe suddenly becomes a much more imminent reality. Once again, this is a case of sheer madness and insanity on the part of some of Europe's most aggressive political leaders. And yes, we can see that Europe is provoking Russia. Whether they do it intentionally, needlessly, they are provoking Russia. And it also shows that Europe is willing to go all the way. Does Europe really want a total war with Russia? The British paper The Guardian had some interesting questions. They wrote on June 27. A nightmare scenario has been playing on Eastern European minds with increasing intensity since Donald Trump returned to the White House. What if Russia attacks and the US does not join the fight? The problem is that in the world of Trump, a firm promise today can be undone by a Truth Social post tomorrow. For as long as Trump is in the White House, it creates a state of ambiguity over whether the US is in or out, which will continue until a hypothetical moment of truth arrives. And this hypothetical moment of truth will arrive. And it's not going to be hypothetical anymore. And it's going to arrive when Europe is going to attack and destroy the United States of America. We have been telling you this for many, many years. People have rejected it. They are still rejecting it. They are still scoffing at it. But they will stop scoffing when it happens. Because the Bible clearly prophesies such a terrible attack. And Europe is preparing. Not so much for an attack against the United States, but they are preparing militarily. NTV wrote on July 4. For the former Green Foreign Minister Joschka Fischer, the transatlantic alliance, NATO, is on the verge of collapse. And in that event, he advocates for a European alliance with its own nuclear umbrella. However, he spoke out emphatically against a national German nuclear umbrella. In this context, Fischer criticized the German government's announcements that the Bundeswehr should become Europe's strongest conventional army. I have doubts about whether that needs to be trumpeted so loudly. We must take our neighbors' concerns seriously. We need a sense of our history and an understanding of the reactions it triggers in others. What is needed, he said, is sensitive communication, something he does not currently see coming from the German government. Now, Germany has never been known for sensitive communication. But it's interesting that Fischer is not denying the fact that Germany is becoming more and more powerful militarily. He just doesn't want to trumpet it to everybody. But Caliber wrote on July the 6th, former NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has welcomed Germany's growing defense role within the alliance, saying the country is on its way to becoming a major military power. He also cautioned against taking NATO's long-term future for granted, saying the alliance's continued existence cannot be guaranteed. And so what we are seeing now is insane rearmament spending in Europe. Sheer madness. Crypto Briefing wrote on July the 6th. Europe just decided it's done relying on American security guarantees. The continent's response: borrow an almost incomprehensible amount of money and start building weapons. The Rearm Europe initiative aims to mobilize nearly 800 billion euros across EU member states to strengthen defense capabilities through 2030. Germany, the economic engine of the continent, is at the center of this shift, reforming its constitutionally enshrined debt brake to unlock potentially 400 billion euros in additional defense spending. The obvious winners are European defense contractors, companies involved in missile production, drone manufacturing, air defense systems, and military technology are positioned to absorb a massive wave of spending. Do you know how these weapons and weapons like these are going to be used? They're going to be used to kill millions upon millions of people. That's why they are being produced. But there's another war going on in Europe as well. It's a war to censor and suppress news. EU News wrote on July the 2nd. The Court of Justice of the European Union has clarified that the ban on disseminating content from the Russia Today RT channel also applies to those who operate a website that is freely accessible to the public and funded solely by users' voluntary contributions. The ruling stems from criminal proceedings brought in Germany, where else, against 3 individuals accused of repeatedly publishing videos from the RT Germany channel on a freely accessible website. Across the EU, operators are not permitted to broadcast RT content. The judge was clarifying that the concept of operator encompasses any person responsible, directly or indirectly, for making prohibited content available, even in the context of an unpaid activity. This classification does not depend on either the scope or the duration of the dissemination. So, the criminal prohibition also includes the dissemination of written articles of RT in Europe. Even the uncritical citing from an article is prohibited. Now, this reminds me of the book-burning mania of the Nazis prior to and during World War II. Every time you prohibit a book, the reading of a book, the possession of a book, is problematic. Every time we find a prohibition in Germany that people are not allowed to read, possess Mein Kampf, is extremely problematic because people are trying to get it anyhow and they are wondering why are we not allowed to read it. Every time you have a prohibition against somebody saying the Holocaust didn't happen, and then he is going to be criminally prosecuted, is extremely dangerous because even though, of course, the Holocaust happened, you are trying to tell the German people you are too stupid to think for yourself. We have to protect you from yourself. When the German government tries to prohibit the AfD party, that's extremely counterproductive because it plays right into the hands of the AfD, and the public is giving more and more credence and more support to the AfD. And let me also ask you this question. Who is protecting us from German or European or American propaganda? And there's a lot of false propaganda going on in all these countries. Now, my friends, it's just a completely, totally wrong way, but it's going to terribly backfire. We know from the Bible that Europe and Germany will become extremely powerful for a short while. And they will start this war, as I said, against the United States of America. But then they themselves will also be destroyed, completely and totally destroyed. According to the words of the Bible, according to the words of God. And you can call that poetic justice. We have prepared a free booklet, and I encourage you to order a copy and to read it. It's titled The Rise and Fall of Germany and Europe. And you will read in this booklet what is all prophesied about the future of Germany and of Europe. Thank you very much for listening. This is Norbert Link for the Standing Watch program.
The Bible has much to say about the future of Germany and Europe and what this means for the rest of the world. Germany will rise again to become the leading nation of a conquering military power bloc. It will even attack and destroy the USA and the UK. But ultimately, Europe, under Germany, will fall again and be defeated and destroyed by an alliance of Far Eastern nations. Request your free booklet now to see the significance of Europe's future and Germany's role in biblical prophecy.
Standing Watch is a presentation by The Church of the Eternal God, P.O. Box 270519, San Diego, California 92198. More information is also available at our website, eternalgod.org.